The Senior Bowl practices are all wrapped up now, and we need to talk about the guys that really helped their NFL draft stock and the guys that might have hurt it a little bit. Now, we're still waiting on the game itself to happen, but most teams put much more stock into the practices than they do the actual game. So I want to give you three guys that were winners and three guys that were losers from the Senior Bowl this past week. Let's start at the tight end position and look at Elijah Arroyo. Look, this kid, first of all, the weigh-in is a big part of this for some of the players. When you look at tight end, what happens often is these receiving tight ends come in a little light or they come in a little shorter than projected. Not this guy. A legit 6'4", and actually he was over 6'4", which is a great sign to see. 251 pounds. You're like, well, if a receiving tight end is putting up that kind of weight, well, is he going to be running a little slower? No, that was not the case at all. Consistently beating coverage, consistently getting open, consistently making great catches. This guy helped himself a ton. And what is already expected to be a pretty good tight end class, he really moved himself up and now is probably going to be one of the top 5 tight ends off the board. One of the harder positions to really move up and down at the Senior Bowl is the running back position in the practices, because they don't do full-on tackling, and some players, that's what they do best. So guys like Ali Gordon, it kind of hurts them a little bit, but a guy that got an opportunity to shine and still made the most of his opportunity was LeQuint Allen, running back from Syracuse. This is a guy that put up over 1,000 yards on the ground and another 500 yards through the air this past season. So he's an interesting name. Came in at 6 foot, so pretty good height. And then you have 207, and he was listed at 201. So he put on some weight since the season. A lot of guys end up coming in a little lighter than what their weight was listed. Not this guy came in heavier and really showed a lot in these practices. Did well in basically every single drill, flashed some really good hands, and showed a little bit more speed than maybe some people were expecting. So in what's a really good running back class, LeQuint Allen might have helped his stock a little bit here at the Senior Bowl. A name I kept hearing about all week at the wide receiver position, it is wide receiver Jaylin Noel. This guy out of Iowa State, just under 5'10", 196 pounds. But when you look at that, yeah, 5'10" isn't the greatest, but 196 pounds, that's great weight for somebody of that height. And this guy consistently beat coverage. Consistently. He was always getting open. He was showing some great hands in the process and seemed borderline unguardable, regardless of if it was one of the lower or higher tier defensive backs that was at the Senior Bowl. Everybody was talking about how well Jalen Noel played, and it looks like he really boosted his draft stock. All right, unfortunately, we do have to talk about some guys that maybe didn't do quite as well at the Senior Bowl, and we have a couple quarterbacks we're going to discuss here. First one, Jalen Milroe, came in at 6'1", 220 pounds, and we're really starting to hear the rumblings of, is he a legit quarterback at the next level? Sounded like he was consistently pretty late on his passes. His timing was off with a lot of the receivers, and we know he's a fantastic athlete and a fantastic runner. Somebody will likely still give him a shot at quarterback. So I don't want to start the narrative that he can't do it and it's impossible. We've seen guys improve accuracy at the NFL level. Look at guys like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. It is possible. That being said, it's not easy to do, and there's a lot of guys that can't do it. Will be interesting to see if that rumbling starts to become a little bit stronger, that maybe he switches positions at the next level. The other quarterback that hurt himself a little bit this week, I think, was Jaxson Dart, just under 6'2", 226 pounds. So the size is fine there, but by all accounts, this was his opportunity to prove that he could be one of the top quarterbacks in this class. Nobody was passing Shador. Nobody was passing Cam Ward. Those guys are locked in at whatever order at 1 and 2, likely Cam at 1 and Shador at 2. But Jaxson Dart had his chance to kind of elevate himself. And really, he just blended in with everybody else this week. Didn't really stand out. In fact, specifically on day 1, really struggled, threw some errant passes, did not look as sharp as you would expect from a guy that is one of the older players in this class, and somebody that a lot of people expected to really kind of move up boards this week. Does not sound like he made the most of that opportunity. The last one here is a name that got a lot of buzz coming into the Senior Bowl. And of course, if you put up 1,500 receiving yards at tight end, you're going to do that. But Harold Fannin, I don't think he helped himself the most this week. 6'3", 238. So we already knew he was going to be a little bit undersized, but the measurements did confirm that. The problem for Harold Fannin this week was some of the videos that you saw. He did not have similar movement skills that some of the other tight ends had. Looked pretty stiff running some of these routes. It didn't create a lot of separation and was getting shut down at times. Now, he did have a nice one-handed grab that was highlighted during the week, but even on that play, you saw his ability to be able to turn and run crisp routes didn't fully seem like it was there. So I don't think Harold Fannin helped himself a lot this week.